think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good heavens, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and the year ended, the away year ended as it started badly. One away win this year is how it ends. We will go through a very, very windy game at Mansfield. I'm going to call it Field Mill. The 1-0 defeat. We also have, thankfully, another game. Look, this is the best thing about Christmas period. We go again. Part of this episode will thankfully be looking ahead to Boxing Day. We're back at home, so different at home, innit? But yeah, we'll cover that in the next hour or so, which I'm sure will be just as fun as every other away defeat has been over the last couple of years. Mick, looking as festive as always, and you've got the calendar up in the background. Brilliant.
All watching over us.
Is your wife buzzing?
She loves it. Loves it, yeah.
Danny's back. How's it going, Danny?
I'm doing all right. It's nice to see that the podcast curse is still alive and with us, because I think every time at least one of us has spoken to a player or a manager, we have lost the subsequent game. So some things never changed, do they, lads?
Yeah, so we had Woody, where we spoke to Woody with him. That was and then the 4-2 loss to Fleetwood was the subsequent game. We spoke to Victor Hansen, and we lost on Boxing Day to Accrington. We spoke to Dan Barlasser, and we did lose, but I can't remember who to. That might have been Fleetwood as well, actually. Fleetwood away 1-0. The one we didn't lose, we spoke to Hacks last year and lost against, I think, to Millwall. And then we spoke to Ollie Rathbone, but we didn't lose after Rathbone. We drew 0-0 at Blackpool. So, yeah, there is a real curse on this podcast. Yeah, so we'll not get anybody else on. Stop sending people for us to speak to because we keep losing. Yeah, we'll come on. Danny, everybody will want to know. You were gifted a Wi-Fi adapter. Talk to us about the situation because we're still visibly no Danny.
Yeah, so it requires an Ethernet cable to plug into the back of the Wi-Fi so it will actually work. And I've basically not had a chance to look for one or buy one because, everyone knows what Christmas is like in hospitality. So it will be sorted just when I get a break over Christmas. Okay.
Fair enough. Danny's present for me as a right, so we'll do that later on if we've got time.
Hey.
Finish with the Secret Santa. Martin Holland's with us. Says, good evening, everybody. Just when you thought things were getting better. The Livsage says, everything all I blame the podcast for the loss because we've always lost when you have someone absolutely nil. We take 100% of the responsibility, which I think is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
YouTube users with us as well as is Darren Cook. Richard says, evening, all apologies. He missed the last couple of episodes because his dad's passed away last Thursday. Once a Miller, always a Miller. Thoughts with you, Richard. Sorry for your loss, mate. Kelly says, evening all. Yes, I already hear that about Richard. Edward says we would have lost at Blackpool if that wasn't cancelled. Yeah, back to reality, says Paul Rigby, as does Harry as well. Mike the Miller says the measure of how far of improvement was that some of us thought it was nonsense was for all to see yesterday. Let's finish it. We're playing old rubbish. Paul Rhodes says back to the training ground again. And Scott Kent said no way win for 2 years on a Saturday. It's truly embarrassing. I think it's longer than that for 3 p.m. kickoff. That was nearly kickoff. So yeah. Right. We'll go into the specifics of this in a minute, but I might have a controversial opinion here. I didn't think it was that bad. Now, I'm not sitting here saying we were great and we were amazing, but it weren't that bad. It was better than the Crawley game, for example, which was played in similar conditions. I thought we controlled the game better than we did in that Crawley game, for example. We didn't let Mansfield run riot, although they had a spell. They had a 20-minute spell kind of after the goal, maybe a bit longer than that in the second half as well. I'm not happy, but I'm not all that negative about it, Mick. Am I just too much in the festive cheer? Am I wrong?
Have you been on beer, Matt, by any chance? Listen, it was by no way the worst performance of the season, away performance of the season. Not even close. It weren't great. I'm not going to lie, it weren't great.
Yeah.
But it was nowhere near one of the poorer performances. I thought up until they scored, we were pretty much in control of the game. Well, unfortunately, for the whole 90, really, we were pretty toothless going forward, up at the top end of the pitch. But up until them scoring, I thought we were well in control, and I was quite pleased with the performance overall. Again, trying to be patient with the ball and not necessarily hoofing it long all the time. Then the goal comes, and we're kind of, I don't know, it kind of knocked the stuffing out of them, didn't it? Confidence out of them, and passes were going astray, balls were being overhit. We just kind of lost our way completely after that, and maybe a couple of 5 or 10 minute spells in the second half where we managed to wrestle a bit of control of the game for a short period of time. We were never really in it, but neither were Mansfield. You know, so the conditions are going to play a part. You know, you can't deny that, but it played a part for both sides. However, they had two chances, and they took the first one. Had we had that opportunity, then maybe we would have got something out of the game. But it was a poor game overall. Definitely not helped by the conditions. Definitely not helped. But it weren't great. It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst by any stretch.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then what it does with them, we'll come on to the specifics in a minute, but it's just starting to shine a light on the players, really. Because, like I said, I think for 25 minutes at the start, up until the goal, whatever it was, we were comfortable and we were lacking an Mick bang right. We were lacking an edge, but we were comfortable. We were in charge of the game. We had loads of corners. It felt like we were going to break the deadlock. And then they get a bit of adversity by conceding a goal. And the players just kind of cack themselves a little bit. And that's obviously Evans' job. He's going to sort that out. But these players have got no backbone as a group at the minute. And that's what's killing us. Yeah,
it is. It's killing us because they almost don't know how to respond when the other team gets a goal against a run of play. Like, we've been in situations where the other team has had the spell and got the goal, and we've not been up to it. But whenever we've been, quote unquote, the better team, saying we're a better team might be a bit hit and miss against Mansfield. We were the better of two poor teams, I think it's a better way of wording it. And conceded, like Mick said earlier, it completely took stuffing out of us, and we didn't know how to respond for the longest time. And I think that's another thing that needs ironing out, because there's still so many things that need ironing out. You know, this team was the same one from the week before, I believe.
Other than Teehee,
yeah, other than Teehee. And is Teehee that vital where we go from that level of performance against Northampton to this one? There's no way that's just one player that's changed that massively. Like we said before, conditions played a part. The wind effectively nullified our corner routines because it held up the ball before it got into the penalty area. So it was always short when we had those corners. But to concede a goal against a run of play from a mistake, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute, you can't let it take that much stuffing out of you. You have to respond to it. You have to go, all right, we've conceded. It's a bit naff, but we need to keep going and keep at it. But it completely changed the way we played. We went back to that scared Rotherham United, scared of conceding again Rotherham United, and we can't do that. If we are going to play as well as we have done against Northampton in the times before, we need to back it up by going, all right, we've fallen behind here, but we need to keep going. And the only times we've done that before now have been against teams with 10 men. We need to do it against 11 players on the pitch. And Mansfield just showed that we still aren't capable of doing that. Things have changed, don't get me wrong. Things have changed in the last 3 or 4 games, but not everything's changed. There are things to iron out. Maybe that this is a job for January where we get in another ball-playing centre midfielder who can stay fit for longer than 2 games. I don't know. But this exposed one of the last serious issues we've got, and it's a big issue because it stops us having positive results away from home, and we can't rely on home form to finish well this season, or else we will just be, mid-table mediocrity at best.
Yeah, that's Harry says, I feel like the performance was down to the players. Evans barely changed the thing from Saturday, but they look like aliens. From Zassu been chatting to Rose. John Morell says, "Will one chat with Steve Evans and Matt and Mick have turned into the positive twins?"
It's Mick being told that he's right about something. That's what it is.
No, I've never heard that before in my life. Genuinely, I don't think anybody's ever said that to me ever.
Yeah. Matt says, "Trouble is when we concede, we all know what will happen, and that's precisely very little," which is absolutely right. And that's all the good teams. I don't want to say all good Rotherham teams. When we have a good team, we tend to get promoted. To be honest, there's no middle ground with us. But any team that's going to make it to the playoffs needs to be able to deal with that, Mick. They need to be able to deal with that kick in the gut. Because you get kicked, it happens every week. You literally, almost every week, you're going to concede a goal. You're going to keep some clean sheets, obviously, but you need to deal with that. And this is priority number one. And I don't know how you do that. Do you just bring in? We've got enough experienced players here. It's not like we've got a group full of 21-year-olds. This is a really experienced group who will have gone through tough times, and most of them, I assume, would have come out at the other end of them. It doesn't really make sense. And I'm really struggling why this team is struggling so much, because up until the goal, they look confident. They didn't look as maybe as flowing, but they were confident, them players. I thought anyway. And then get a bit of a slap in the face, and I'm just going to long ball it again. It was just odd.
Yeah, I think they are so woefully short of any sort of confidence that the first little knock just knocks it straight out of them. We've talked about this before many times, and we didn't get the opportunity to talk about it the other night with the manager, but he did allude to it in one of his replies. I don't think personally that they've been managed particularly well, and I think the issue is, and Steve Evans talked about this the other night. Like I said, we're asking players now to make a decision and play the right pass, and if it don't come off, we're not shouting at them, we're not screaming and bawling at them. Well, that's what's happened in the past. That's clearly what's happened in the past. And as soon as there's any adversity, that I assume in my head, the mind's going to go straight back to right. We're going to get a right rollicking at half time here. We're going to get it in neck and so on and so forth. And over a period of time, that saps away at your confidence. It's inevitable, and that's how it appears to me. If there's been a change behind the scenes, which we were assured that there has been, then that's going to take some time. The way that we're trying to play is completely different, and it was completely different again on Saturday to what we've had all season. We are trying to be patient with the ball. We are trying to maintain possession. We are trying to pick some passes out. We're still trying to do that. We still tried to do that on Saturday. However, once we went behind, that kind of went in bin a little bit, and it was a bit of panic stations. Whether that's because we know what's coming, I don't know. But for me, it is a big part of this is confidence.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's an argument in there that we should be saying, look, just strap a pair on. You're fully functioning, fully grown adults. Get on with it. You're more than capable of performing to a much higher level. Just do it. Not that straightforward, is it? We know that.
No.
It's confidence.
Yeah, it is. Let me play a bit of the old advocate, Danny, because I don't think we'll get relegated, and I don't think we'll be in a relegation battle. I think that's one of the things Evans is right about. Having said that, this group of players so far have shown that at the minute there isn't any fight in them, or if the fight is there, it is very, very minimal. If we do really get sucked into a battle, and let's say end of January find ourselves in the relegation zone, that's a massive concern, because technically these players are good enough. But I'm not convinced these players have got the stomach at the minute for if things were to get really, really difficult.
No, they don't strike me as, this is going to sound really harsh saying it, but sod it. They don't feel like an in the trenches team. I think individually they are good players. We've seen that. We've seen how scary the front four can be. But Evans was right when he said they were frighteningly poor against Mansfield. And I don't think they've got the person, with the whistle effectively going, come on, lads, let's keep going. And they just can't rally themselves and get themselves up for the fight effectively, because it's not nice going 1-0 down against any team, but it's how you respond to it which dictates where the game's going to go. If you go uber defensive, then you invite pressure. But if you go, now we're not having that, then it puts the opposition on the back foot. And we don't seem capable of doing that. We seem to every player seems to retreat into themselves, whether that's because they've been screamed at by Steve Evans in the past, whether it's still a hangover around the club from last season, whether it's fans having a very short frustration fuse with them this season because of a variety of factors. I'm not sure, but it's something. Maybe it's a combination of everything. But this team will not finish anywhere near the playoffs without someone at the front leading the team into every game and not surrendering in the games where we concede early or concede first. But we don't have that. Someone's put in the comments about Chris Wright saying Clark Harris is no captain, can't see the logic behind it. Clark Harrison, just to pick the name that we all know and love, Richard Wood, if those two can't compare, Woody was an in-the-trenches sort of captain and defender. But Clark Harris isn't that type of captain. And we need someone like that, but we don't have it. Maybe that's something to recruit in January, but then it's too late. This feels like it could be another rebuild in the summer to get things going again, which, we've said many a time before. But I think with Evans saying we're still aiming for the playoffs, no, we're not. We're aiming to be as far away from the relegation zone as humanly possible with this squad this season. And if we find ourselves in a relegation fight, I actually do not know who you point the finger at this time, because the squad shows they're good enough. Evans shows he is capable of changing things, because we saw that over a 3 or 4 game period where we did improve. But I honestly don't know. If we're in a relegation fight, I will be so disappointed in this season, and it will be one of the biggest failures of recent memory.
We've had some.
Yeah,
We've had some
and that's saying something. So I really do hope they turn it round. I think I speak for every fan when I really hope we turn it round. But where do you tweak? You know what I mean? Where do you tweak? Do you bring in someone who's, a bit more in the trenches, but they won't be available, and the other people like that who will be available will be in the latter stage of their career, so they'll be injury prone? You bring in another midfielder, who's going to loan that type of player that we need out? You bring in a striker, it's going to be a young loan signing, so will they have enough impact? We bring in a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers are very, they're like rocking horse droppings in January, goalkeepers. You cannot get them because people try and stick it out with them. So I dread to be anyone in the management team, because I do not know which way to go with this, other than just sit down and do the basics well. But as soon as we try and go outside the basics, we don't do it well.
Yeah. Jock Cotkins, we're so fragile. Last time we had a very good belt, and we are Morgan. Since then, we've had absolute garbage, if we're being honest. Did okay with the ones under one, but solid. What a way. So I've heard all season these players are good enough. Really, how many games do we have to be rubbish before the penny drops that this side has got potential? Hasn't got potential. Yeah, well, but this is the thing. This is the really, really frustrating thing. If we'd have won yesterday, we'd been 5 points off the playoffs. I think with the game in hand as well. And we have got to talk about the relegation because we're within touching distance. So Crawley have got Birmingham tomorrow, so I don't think Crawley are going to win, obviously. But if Crawley pick up points, that'll drag us further close to it. Cambridge are improving. But you can look at anyone. Like I said, if we'd have won, we'd have been 5 points. Wigan at home to winnable game. We could we could have been in within a couple of points of the playoffs, and that's not stupid. We should have got something yesterday. We should have got something. So I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm saying all this. I don't even know what my question is to you.
It's a long way off. The end of the season is a long way off, you know. And at this point of the season, we can't be promising ourselves that we're going to make the playoffs, and we can't be promising ourselves that we're going to be relegated, because as you just pointed out there, the points difference between the two, even at this stage, even as we go into the Christmas period, is very, very small, which is a worry. Is a worry, because you put a decent run together, you're up there. If you have a poor run, you're right back down there. You know, at this stage, there's usually been a breakaway, and there's usually been a kind of a clear gap, and there isn't anything.
Yeah.
So talk of where we're going to end at the end of this season is just pointless, absolutely pointless, because it could be anywhere. It could be absolutely anywhere from bottom to second, both of which are pie in the sky, obviously. But you know what I'm saying. You know, it's easy. Both are easily achievable, or reasonably easily achievable. There has to be an improvement in the performances on the pitch, and there had been up until Saturday, like we say. And again, it dropped. It wasn't the worst by any stretch of the imagination, in my view, but it's dropped off. They've got to get it back. We've got to get it back. You know, and the key to this is that at home we're not been too bad. You know, performances at home, the results at home have not been too bad. They could have been better, but they haven't been too bad. The way, it's just made no difference. Made no difference at all. You know, we got a win off Sam Nombe's backside, and that's been it really. It's just not happening. The performance level's not there. The work rate's not there. The know-how is not there. The ability of the players is just not shining through whatsoever. So there's still plenty of issues. Plenty of issues. Mike. I mean, Mike's putting there second easily achievable. Mike, look at where we are in the season and how many points are available. It's achievable. It is achievable. I'm not saying by us, but it's achievable. The quality of the league is so poor. It is so poor. You put a run of five or six wins together, and you're knocking on the door already. You put 5 or 6 defeats together, and you are well and truly ensconced in that bottom four. So easily, all right. It's achievable. Maybe easily is not. Maybe not the right word.
Yeah. John Mill saying thanks, Matt. Crawley have Birmingham 1-0 Crawley incoming. I don't think this will happen, but if Crawley do beat Birmingham, we'll be 2 points above the relegation zone. Currently 4. That's pretty frightening going into Christmas. 2 points outside of the drop zone to League 2. Scary. But anyway, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's talk about the game a bit more, Danny. Let's talk about the goal itself. Sam Nombe came in for a bit of criticism. I'll be honest with you, I think this is going to divide people a bit, and I'll give you mine while I ask the question. Well, I ask the question is that the wind was bad, and Nombe has done his best to try and get something on it. Now, Evans has said there was a shout. The wind was really bad. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd not heard the shout because of the wind. And he's done his best to get to it. It's just, for me, it's just frustrating. I don't put too much blame onto Nombe for that, to be honest with you.
I can see where you're coming from. It's a difficult one because A, we shouldn't be in the situation like that anyway. B, why is Nombe going for it when he's got 2 defenders behind him who are in a better position to clear it? Does it highlight this is the question. Does it highlight our fear of being in like goal conceding positions where every player scrambles to get it clear, and that's why Nombe's done it? And they've said about the shout to try and cover that, or is it a legit mistake where the wind's up, he's not heard the shout? If there was a shout, and Doffin's not putting the blame onto anybody else or a Doffin or whoever, if they've said they've shouted, is that to spare them from a bollocking? Excuse me. Or is it just Nombe's not heard it because of the wind? There are a lot of factors at play here. But the one important thing is that it skims off Nombe's head, We get caught out through the middle, which has been a recurring problem with our defence.
Yeah.
But it just so happens it's come off Nombe's head this time. They've gone clean through and they've scored. There are a lot of factors at play here, and it's very, very easy to blame Nombe because it's come off his head. But at the same time, other players should be doing their jobs better as well, in my opinion, at least, anyway. But if you want to blame somebody, Nombe is the easiest target because it is his mistake initially. But there are other mistakes at play.
Yeah. Nick Carrick says Nombe had to attack the ball. It skimmed over his head and error and a bit swanny where it landed. The goal is one of those things. It's the reaction after this ball. Yeah, I agree. Harry says had 2 chances to clear it before he even went to Nombe. Yeah,
exactly.
He did. Paula Rhodes just felt sorry for Nombe. This is another example of us just not dealing with conditions at all, Mick. And we didn't for a number of reasons, but this is a misjudging of the situation. You know, Hacks is behind him, but could Hacks have attacked it from a better position? And then he's attacking it, so Nombe knows he's there, so Nombe ain't going to wait for something. When you're on edge of your box, you don't want to be waiting for it. And so I can see why Nombe's gone for it. He wants to attack the ball, especially in the conditions, but he's just misjudged it. All the wind's taking it, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, if we score that goal, you know, we're calling that a lucky deflection, aren't we? You know?
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. It could have gone anywhere. It could have gone absolutely anywhere. As it was, it was a perfect lob over the back of the defenders straight into their player's path. So yeah, I'm not criticising Sam Nombe for going for that. Absolutely not. And if he's had a call, I'm not surprised he hasn't heard it. You know, we couldn't hear a commentator. So what it was like down on the pitch there is you know, it must have been horrendous. So yeah, he's not going to hear it. If you're going to call for that as a defender, then you need to go and take your own player out as well as the ball. But you know, it was too far out for either Jules or Dauphin to come and attack that ball, because then it would have left a massive gap in that back line. So Sam Nombe really had to try and get something on it. It's one of those things. It is one of those things. And there's no blame for me attached to Sam Nombe in any way. Not for me anyway.
Yeah. Caleb says Steve Evans said if play makes decision doesn't execute it, but we always back the player. Nombe made the decision and got hammered for it. What's your take on the post-match, Mick? It wasn't a hammering like Cam Humphries got. Let's put it that way. He didn't call Sam Nombe an 8-year-old, which I suppose is an improvement. But then he was asked directly about it, I suppose. I think still asked the question directly about Nombe in the header. So he's just, maybe they should stop doing post-match altogether. That'd be the best thing. Just sack them off and then everything will be fine, because they're never good.
No. I mean, we found this, haven't we, when we do it. Me particularly, I come up with all sorts of nonsense. Yeah, it's poor. Again, it is poor. Just make a comment about the fact that we made mistakes in build-up to goal. We'll deal with it. That's all it needs to be. You know, everybody can see what the mistakes were. We don't need to be singling players out. But again, that feeds into this issue in terms of confidence and what happens to a player's psyche and attitude when they go under the cosh a little bit. You know, is it me that's going to be called out on BBC or whatever? That kind of thing will be playing on players' minds over and above everything else. You know, if they're struggling with a desire to play for this football club as well, that's just gonna compound it. So it's not great. No, it's not great, and it's something that we never had the opportunity to discuss the other night. I'm hoping if it comes back on that we will get the opportunity to discuss it, because for me it's a big thing, and we've called out Matt Taylor for doing it in the past, and Steve Evans for doing it. The two managers in between, either side of that, in Warney and Liam Richardson, that wasn't their game.
No.
To be fair, other than Matt Taylor and Steve Evans, I'm sure some of the other managers have done it, but I can't bring anything to mind off the top of my head. You just don't follow out your players in public, and it's not good enough for me anyway. That's my view.
Yeah. Do you have anything on that, Danny?
No, I've not seen the post match. I don't dare watch it, if I'm being honest, because it'll just annoy me.
Fair enough. Ideally, what we'll be talking about after this, Danny, is we'll be saying, right, we conceded a goal and they had a spell, but for the last 20 minutes, we should be talking about a couple of chances that we missed, or chances that we created, or just this that didn't quite go right. I'm really struggling to kind of think and talk about anything that happened in the last, let's say, 30 minutes of the game. There was one moment when Malik Wilkes almost got through past the last man, but that was kind of it. We even had a couple of corners where we're just making silly mistakes, and the decision making's off. The final ball's wrong. It's hit into the wind like Malik Wilkes did, which was so infuriating. But we just didn't look like creating a real opportunity in the last half an hour. And well, you're not going to win games if you're not doing that. You're not going to get any points if you don't do that.
Yeah, it's as if the squad were completely shell-shocked for the best part of an hour. You know, because I saw a comment earlier on. Apologies, I can't see it; it's disappeared. But they said that we didn't even get near their 18-yard box until like the last 10 minutes or so, which is absolutely shocking. You know, are we that terrified of going behind that when it actually happens, we just retreat so much and then eventually decide to go forwards and have effectively pot shots at goal and nothing serious? Has it knocked our confidence that much where we've won 3 on the spin and suddenly we're 1-0 behind and we've just capitulated? You know, it's it's definitely a confidence thing and a leadership thing to not get back into games like that. And yeah, like you say, Wilkes knocking it into winds, and I imagine it's just travelled backwards because it was so windy. You know, you wouldn't even fly a kite in this weather, it's so windy. It's adding to frustrations where we can't handle it is a bit of the wrong wording, but you know what I mean? Like our frustration level is about to burst over with the last 2 seasons and failed promises, etc., and it just adds to it. You know, it adds to it not being back in the game straight away, or at least in the second half after the team talk. And yeah, on paper the result isn't that bad, but the way we responded to it is where the issue is. And yeah, just a bit tiring, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. John Davis with an interesting stat. In the 8 games we've lost this season, the total score it had been 11-0. Sorry, we're not scoring in defeats, and that's interesting because it's what he's saying. If we don't score, we're not getting over the line for a 0-0, and that's the idea. If you don't score, don't lose. Don't win, don't lose. Sorry, we're not doing that, and also it tells you that there's an attacking issue here, that we're clearly not scoring enough goals, because that's was in Mansfield, 1-0 at Crawley, 2-0 at Barnsley, 1-0 away at Leyton Orient, 1-0 at home to Wrexham, 2-0 at home to Birmingham, 2-0 away to Wickham, and 1-0 at Exeter as well. I don't know. I don't know what it means, but that is interesting to me that the margins are very fine. Also, it adds into there.
Yeah.
Because a couple of goals in there, and we've got a couple of extra points in there, and probably a couple of extra wins in there. So it tells me that we're not actually a bad team. There's just some issues that need sorting out, maybe, or am I being too positive?
No, I you're right. You're right, and the stats people will tell you, the RUFC will tell you all about reversion to the mean and XG, and you know, sooner or later somebody's going to get a towel in because you know our XG is so high, but we're not actually scoring the goals. And over a period of a season or 2 seasons, that might well pan out. But unfortunately, at the moment, the performances on the pitch are not suggesting that that's going to change, particularly when we go behind. There's too many defeats there to 0, you know, and that's not good enough. And one of the many issues we've had all season is obviously scoring goals. And one of the problems we've had, and we've talked about it many times, is about the service to the front players, Clark Harris or whoever it is that's playing up front. The service has just not been there. They've changed the way that they're playing in an attempt to deal with that, and that worked against Northampton. It worked to a degree against Tranmere as well, and the game before that. On Saturday, the build-up to the point where we're giving them the service was Yeah, it was there. It was there. We weren't just hoofing it long. However, when it came to actually providing them with a service, that wasn't there at all. We just kind of ran out of steam. We were pretty toothless up front for whatever reason. Well, we've gone through the reasons, haven't we? So, yeah, we need to be scoring goals. I'm not convinced by Clark Harris. I've not been convinced by him all season. And somebody put in the comments earlier on about, you know, his movement is
there any?
lumbering. Is basically, I think, is probably a decent description of it. You know, he's not gonna win a foot race to any misplaced pass. You know, you need him in the box on the end of crosses or getting balls to feet. There's no point having him anywhere else in the build up, because he's not 9 times out of 10 he's not going to give you anything. He needs to be the one in the box, and that's where the goals are going to come from, with the others chipping in. We've not done that all season, have we? With the odd exception. Maybe, arguably, that's where one of the problems lies. I don't know, but yeah, I don't like that 2-0 business at all.
No, I agree. On Jonathan Clark Harris, Danny, let's talk about it briefly. I went on the Wigan podcast today, the Progress with Unity, which our preview with Barry from theirs will be out tomorrow. We laugh. What the good thing was that we both managed to laugh at Ian Everett because they beat Wigan last week, beat Belton last week. So there's that in that if you want to do that. But he asked me about Jonathan Clark Harris, and I kind of said, well, I'm sure at the end of the season, the stats will be that he scored 20 goals this season, and you could make a case that he's been vital for wherever we finish. But if you're trying to create a team to do something, whether that's to be high energy, to be pressed, to be direct, to do whatever, where does Clark Harris fit into any of those plans? Because he can't press for life. His hold-up play is non-existent. He's quite good at flick-ons, but he doesn't hold the ball up. Where does Clark Harris fit into an identity? And that's a problem, because that's what we're trying to build, a bit of an identity and whatnot. I do think Clark Harris is a problem with that. But then without Clark Harris, we were really, really bad. So then we've got a problem, haven't we, really?
Yeah, I think Clark Harris kind of fits into it as almost like your goal getter type, but that leans on the side of he needs to have his iron and be accurate. And like I said on a previous podcast, for the longest time, he was not accurate at all. And then he had a little green patch where we had his iron and everything, but the Mansfield game, he went back to, his sights being completely off and his game being completely off and being totally ineffective. And then it gets to the point of, well, if he's not being effective, why keep starting him? Because he needs time away just to effectively just retrain his mind to get into the competitive game mindset. But then, like you've just said there, without him, we look worse, because the next man up is Jordan Hugill, who is vastly more out of favour and out of touch goal-getting wise, especially in league games. And even Nombe isn't the best as a centre forward. He's definitely a better second striker. So it's a perfect storm of things that just aren't working with Clark Harris at the minute as well. But I mentioned this in our group chat earlier. I do have a bit of a funny story with Clark Harris.
Oh, it's Mr. Clark Harris.
Yeah.
Go on, Danny.
Well, so I'm at work at this point because it's like Friday afternoon. So, and my mum gets a phone call, right?
Oh, I've had this.
Yeah, phone call going, and it says, "Hi, Danny Ogden-Glaves. This is Jonathan Clark Harris, the captain of Rotherham United." And my mum thinks it's a prank call and is fully expecting this person on the phone to go, "Oh, what are you wearing?" Fully expecting it to be like that kind of prank call. So she hangs up the phone. Turns out it's this AI marketing thing about trying to buy half-season tickets. And it's like, well, I'm actually quite happy that I didn't pick up the phone, because I would have told this AI version of Clark Harris, "Nah, you're all right, pal, win more football matches and drop the price for our 70 quid.
Yeah, I got that. I got one of them because my youngest daughter got her season last year. Couldn't be less interested. So they're trying to call these people to get you to buy our season tickets, and it's an AI Jonathan Clark Harris. Weird. I'm not a fan, to be honest with you.
Yeah, all I'm saying is anyone from Rotherham United watching, it scares some women into thinking it's a crank call, right? So it's maybe not the best marketing idea.
Okay. So Clark Harris, when you're done with football, do not go into cold calling, because apparently you haven't got the voice for it. Mick, you didn't look very happy when I mentioned the Clark Harris thing a second ago. You've got 3 hands up with it.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say now. I'll come back. It'll come back to me. Something that Danny said there. I can't remember how he started it off. It'll come back to me.
I'm sure it won't. Matt says, agree, Matt. We don't have an alternative close. We need to play with big number 9, i.e. Smith or Revs, with the men's player there. Come on.
I remember. Yeah. I remember. Yeah, and it's the point that somebody made earlier on in the comments as well, that we don't play well. You said it. We play even worse without Johnson Clark Harris. Yeah, we do, or we did, because all we were doing, we're oofing it up to little man up front. Without him there, if we're forced then to play the ball on the deck in the manner that we've been playing over the last couple of 3 games, that might be a different matter altogether, given the pace that we've got and everything else out of the 3 remaining forwards. So it might be interesting to see whether or not that might work. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe, let's wait and see. Matt Mills says, interesting that we haven't mentioned Andre Green at all, and yet last week he was our saviour. Andre Green's one of those players, I think, Mick, that there are certain games for Andre Green. And I think when it's on a lovely pitch at New York Stadium where the conditions are fine, I think he'll be a star. I think he'll be great in those games. When things get really tough and the conditions aren't great, he doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to get down and fight for this. I think he needs the conditions for it, and that's going to be a problem, I think. Having said that, how often we're probably not going to play in conditions like that for the rest of the season. So I don't know. But he was quiet, wasn't it?
It was quiet, yeah. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the moment and put that down to lack of fitness more than anything else. I do hope that he's not a Malik Wilkes kind of player that's kind of in and out of games, because we know how devastating Malik Wilkes can be, and then other times he disappears, and you see very little of him. Much like Johnson Clark Harris, he's another player that kind of drifts in and out of games, some of the time just out of the game. I'm jury's out on Andre Green in that respect. For me, he's a quality footballer, and I think let's get him back to full fitness before we start judging whether or not his commitment's there or not. I think it probably is, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's the second league starting 2 years in 14 months or so.
Yeah,
it's going to take time, and it's going to be a big couple of weeks for him to not overplay him and not rinse him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
David Winter says he's bought a ticket for Lincoln away a few days ago. He's made a terrible mistake. Yeah, potentially, David. But wouldn't it just be football that we've gone a full year with 1 victory, and then the first day of the new year we get an away victory? That'd just be football in a nutshell. So, again, being positive is a choice, and I've chose to take that choice there.
Wow.
So, yeah. I'll tell you what also is a bit of something to criticise and have a pop-up maybe is, Danny, is that when we're chasing the game, the substitutes always feel panicky. Always feel panicky. I'm going to take a midfielder off and put Hugo on. I'm going to put Kieran McGuckin, who Evans has clearly got no interest in playing Kieran McGuckin. But because we're 1-0 down, I'm just going to put him on and hope for the best. I'm going to put Jack Holmes at right wing back and go to 3 at back and things like that. That's not going to help, I don't think, the players mentally, because Gaffer's just rolling dice here, so the plan goes out of the window a little bit. But they feel like it has felt panicky, and it felt panicky again, the changes.
Yeah, it feels like when we're chasing games, the substitutes don't come on to make an impact and change the game necessarily. It's more of a throw something at it and hope we get a goal back.
Yeah.
Which, in my non-professional opinion at least, isn't the right way to approach substitutes. Substitutes should be used to tweak a bit of something. It's like if you aren't being effective going forwards, you bring on a striker who offers something different going forwards. Like for example with using McGuckin, he's obviously at the complete opposite end of the spectrum to Clark Harris, where Clark Harris, as the player, not as we've seen him right now, is, your goal getter, the guy who latches onto balls in the 6-yard box, is always present during set-piece routines, whereas McGuckin is the young, run for the club until his legs fall off. He'll fly into any challenge. He'll get you in the ball moving up the pitch, as we've seen him do this season already. So that's the sort of thing you use a substitute for, to switch how you play. You could do it in 1, 2, or 3 substitutes if it needs a drastic change, but we just throw something at it, just like, oh, he's not playing well, oink him off. It's almost like the old skit on stage where big wooden cane comes out and yoinks somebody off stage. That is effectively what we do with our substitutes. We yoink someone off and just put someone into fold and go, right, off you go and do something. Yeah. And it's too much pressure to put on players, and that's why they look panicky. And we just don't seem to utilise substitutes correctly, which is, again, adding to the frustrations that have already been building up. We just need composure with substitutes and a thought process with substitutes. Because just hoping something sticks, a lot of the time it won't. When we saw it against Mansfield, we threw on the substitutes and no stuck, and if anything, we looked a bit worse.
Yeah, we did. Matt Miller says, anybody going to Lincoln, you can go to the cathedral instead, because it's beautiful and it's open on New Year's Day.
It is actually a nice cathedral. I remember going there when I was younger and getting absolutely rollicked for blowing out some candles that had been lit in there.
Yeah, don't do that.
So don't do that New Year's Day. Don't do
that. Chris, RUFC. Lincoln Cathedral cost a fortune, though. Is there maybe an older, more injury-prone church we could have a look at?
See what you did there, Chris. I like that.
Yeah, like it. Sam saying, have we had a red card in 2024?
Oh, why have you said that?
Well, Danny Arla didn't play this year, did he? So there's that. No, I don't think we have. We had a few against us this year. We had 3 against us, 2 against us this year.
Yeah, a couple, haven't we? Yeah.
Even had some penalties this year as well.
Yeah.
What do we think of Mr. Kettle's son, by the way?
I knew you were coming with that. Oh, he's not going to be popular in the Kettle household, is he?
So, do you think he was good?
Keeping up the family tradition. Well, I thought he was all right. I thought
he was all right. It was all right until there was a big decision to make on edge at box when Malik Wilt got pulled back.
Yeah, he did. But but to be fair, and I agree that was a foul. He did let them go all over the pitch all the game. So had he blown up for what usually happens is they blow up for all the stupid ones, and then when something like that happens, they don't. I thought, God, I can't believe it. He's not his dad, is he? So he is his own man. I thought he had a decent game. I do. He let the game flow. He weren't fattening about with all this niggly stuff. He just let him get on with it. I thought it was a foul. That there's no question it was a foul, but it didn't give a lot of them elsewhere on the pitch as well. So
yeah,
set his stall out. I thought he played well.
Being nice to Steve Evans and complimenting referees. 2024 has been a confusing year.
I'm getting old, Jim. I'm getting old. His dad will not be talking to him now, though.
No.
Then after he's seen, if he sees that, good grief.
He'll be on
he
bread
still
and
fell
water.
for a bit of. Good on.
I'm just saying he'll be on bread and water by the sounds of it.
He fell for a few of the old tricks sometimes, didn't he? But as all refs are doing at the minute. So yeah, other than the Malik Wilkes thing, I think he had a decent game. But I should have given that. Anything else from the game we need to mention?
Only because we were 1-0 down, it would have been a decent area for a free kick. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anything else? We've done well. Nothing much happened in that game, to be honest. We've done well to get this time. Is there anything else we need to mention from that game?
It was very windy.
Was it?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
New conspiracy: Mansfield control the wind.
Yeah, he got a bit of stick, Evans. Apparently, some of it went over the line. Can't say I heard some of the chanting that went over the line. Who was there can let us know. But apparently, there was Evans suggested there was some over the line chance, and this is from a guy who gets abused regularly. So something must have been said for him to say, "Can I say it's over the line?" This is a guy who he doesn't need anybody to stand up for him, does he? For him to say something, suggest something across the line there. So that's disappointing for Mansfield fans if that's the case. Can't say I know any more specifics about it though. Baller Rhodes says the ladies lose rubbish. So anyone wants to go next time, be wary of those. Harry mentioned in the comments what they having a party about Evans. So yeah, very poor for Mansfield. I know they don't like him, but
Yeah,
come on,
yeah,
grow up. Right, Danny's Secret Santa has arrived. Should we get this done quickly before we move on to Wigan?
Before we do, has Tom sent in his unboxing video, or is he too drunk for it?
No, Tom's gift is lost to the ages.
Oh,
lost to the every.
Yes. So sorry, Tom. Blame every. This came out Danny first thing Friday morning.
course it did. Right, sound.
Right, hang on then. Don't make very good audio. I'm aware of this. So apologies, everybody. What is this?
Spence is killing us.
What is it? Oh, it's like a. I like that, Danny. Go on.
Yeah, it's like a road map of Rotherham Town Centre with a New York Stadium in the middle, and it's got the coordinates on it as well, plus capacity, opening time, etc., etc.
Very good. Like it, Danny. Thank you very much, mate. We'll get a
You're
frame.
very welcome.
Just here. Well, I'll ask my wife if I can get a frame.
Yeah, I did have the option to add a frame, but I thought, might need permission first, so I'll send the thing itself.
You've made a good decision there, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Danny.
You're welcome.
And Danny promises to make use of his Secret Santa at some point.
Yes.
When he rides an Ethernet cable.
Yes, when Christmas is out the way, I will get it sorted, trust me.
Yeah. Right, let's move ahead. Wigan Athletic come to town on Boxing Day. This will be the third time we've played Wigan on Boxing Day. It'd be good if there was somewhere a database where you could find out who you've played on certain days to find out who played the most. There isn't. And I haven't had time to go through every single season in Rotherham's history, to be honest with you.
That sounds like a job for me at some point in Excel. Oh dear.
There you go. Danny's going to stop up till 3 o'clock in the morning finding out who we've played the most on Boxing Day. But 3 must be quite a lot. Playing Wigan 3 times must be high up there. We played them in 2003 with a 2-1 victory at what was the JJB make back then. Do you remember who scored those 2 goals?
When was that? 2003? No, I don't. Paul Warren.
Will Hoskins got 2.
Will Hoskins, wow.
I'm sure we were there.
Man, it does ring a bell, to be honest. I've been a few times, been to Wigan a few times, haven't we?
Yeah. We're playing quite a lot, to be fair. Other than when they're in Premier League, we seem to play them quite a lot.
They're our besties, aren't they? Our besties.
Exactly. And then last time was in 2016 when we won 3-2. That was Paul Warren's second victory, I think. We were 3-0 up at half time and very, very nearly threw it away. I seem to recall Will Grigg getting a goal disallowed in the 90th minute to make it 3-3. That was a terrible season. Ironically, we won 5 games all season that season, and 1 was Boxing Day. It was exactly the same last year. We won 5 games all season. 1 of them happened to be on Boxing Day. So at least at Christmas. So if we win, we're going to have a bad season because when we lost to Accrington, we went up as second place.
We're already having a bad season.
Yeah, but you can't judge a season until it's over, can you?
Well, you can try.
I suppose that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think the consensus is that it's a bad season.
It's a pretty bad season, yeah. Just before I forget, we'll do referee. Referee watch is Martin Coy. He has refereed us a couple of times. The last time he refereed us in the league was when we beat Doncaster 2-0 and he sent Mikel Miller off for 2 yellow cards, which was the correct decision at the time. So, yeah. That's
but speaking of referees, the last time we played Wigan on Boxing Day in that 2016 game, guess who the referee was?
It was David Cool.
It was indeed.
Topical, Danny. That's what that is. That's topical.
Yes.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, it was. It was that fella who cannot be named anymore. Yeah, John Morrell saying we play Wigan on the 4th of January, so feel free to kick a few of their players. Scott Kent mentions, Scan Report is out tomorrow. I put it out earlier than we normally do because we're not about the day before. I do fancy releasing an episode on Christmas Day. So this is out tomorrow to give you a couple of days to watch it ahead of time. But yeah, Scott Kent rightly mentions Wigan's main danger is Thelio Asgard. Probably not how to say his first name. He's an unbelievable starter as a young one. They are a team full of youngsters. As Wigan have had a really, really good youth setup, and that's something they've done really well since I assume they used the Premier League money to set that up really well. Their goalkeeper, Sam Tickle, is also extremely highly rated. Barry, from who you can hear from the Sky Report tomorrow, reckons he's a Premier League keeper in waiting. He's already been called up for the 21s England. He made his debut, actually, against us in that last game of the season. Sam Tickle made his debut. And ever since then, he's been in the England under-21 setup. So he's somebody to watch out for. It's really interesting because they've actually got a young squad, very, very young squad. I haven't looked at average age, but I bet we're at the other end of the scale in terms of teams, in terms of age and experience. But there's not one point in the league. But it's a big game because it's a home game because we've lost. Do you expect us to go back to the Northampton performance-wise, or is it going to depend on if we concede a goal?
Depends whether they throw Teddy down at cock, doesn't it? When Steve Evans and Paul Rayner and everybody else have had their management meeting, if there's been Teddies flying about, then it might be back to long ball. That feels like what happened at Crawley. We played some decent football in the first half, but went in 1-0 down, then we just spent the second half hoofing it as hard as we possibly could. Whether because we've now lost a game trying to play football, we revert back to type. We'll have to wait and see. I do hope not, particularly at home. If we do, I think we'll lose the game. So, things and roundabouts, isn't it? If that's what you want as a coaching staff, then fire away. But you will be fired away if that carries on. I think so. I think we'll revert. I think we'll Sorry, not revert. I think we'll stay as we've stayed playing the way that we played against Northampton. And I think we'll give them a decent game. It should be a good game, hopefully. And hopefully, had we won on Saturday, then it would have been close to a sellout. It won't be now. I've no doubt, but hopefully it'll be a reasonable crowd. We can get behind them a little bit, and you never know, do you? We've got to that stage already. Well, you never know. We might get something out of it.
We might. Owen Lewis in the comments says lose to Wigan on Boxing Day and he thinks Everton should be gone. Fair enough. Fisherman Sid says go long against Wigan, it'll be at hammering. Yeah, they are a team down there that like to keep the ball. They are a possession base. Again, Sean Mullen's their manager and he comes from the Roberto Martinez style of coaching. Worked with him in Belgium and obviously played for him at Wigan as well when they won the FA Cup. So you know what you're going to get. Under Paul Warren will be saying brilliant. Team trying to knock the ball about the back. Fantastic. Because I was pressing to death. And it's easy. It's quite easy to do at this level because these players aren't good enough to do that. I don't get the sense of our team because we've not got press in us. So it's going to be interesting. Look what Birmingham did. These are nowhere near Birmingham's level. But Birmingham showed you can pass it around us quite easily. We're quite passive in that sense of things. So even Burton did, to be fair. So there is a concern that if they knock it about a little bit and keep the ball and look after it, that then could be a long afternoon.
Yeah, I agree. If they knock the ball around and find the slide rule pass that cuts open our defence, then it could be 2 or 3 for Wigan on the day. But if there was ever a game to get Nombe, Green and Wilkes all pressing their back line when they're passing it round, it is Boxing Day because it'll hopefully show us that home form is something that we can lock down and then just try and work on away form. But I have to admit, I am quite jealous of Wigan because they've legit got Mr. Tickle in goal. Who thought it?
Very good. Yes, they have. Apparently, it's quite good, which is annoying.
The long arms, you see.
Yeah. Noel Jordan says hoofball will return on Boxing Day. We all know it. Just have to get used to it now.
I hope the wind's gone, or else we'll be royally screwed because there's a right wind around New York Stadium, even when it's not windy.
Yeah. And what I've just mentioned there, Mick, Birmingham aren't the worry because Birmingham, but the Burton performance is more of a concern to me because Burton have showed how good a side they are. They are not a good side. They've shown that.
Yeah.
But I sat there and watched Burton and went, bloody hell, they can knock the ball about a bit. They're a decent side, these. And Wigan are a decent side but compared to Burton. So that's a concern that if we do fall into that trap of not looking after the ball, I'm not going to say hoofball because I don't mind going direct, but if we don't look after it properly, then they are going to be able to exploit. So we're quite easy to exploit the spaces in between, to be honest with you. Right. So if we don't look after it, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if we revert back to playing the way we played a few weeks ago, sooner or later, they're going to create some opportunities because all that happens is they'll lose the ball, we take a couple of touches and get them back. That's all that happened for the first 15, 16 games of the season. So if that happens, they'll beat us. It's inevitable because the law of averages says they're going to create at least 2 or 3 opportunities, goal scoring opportunities. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we stick with the plan that we've got, such as there is one. I don't know what to expect. I'm not going to lie. I don't know.
No, I don't either. After I was feeling positive going to Saturday. I was 1-0 defeat from a pretty lucky goal. As not just that does tells you the way we are in terms of the season. Never mind last season, we're doing in terms of the current season.
This is why I don't be positive. This is I was positive about Saturday, and this is what happens. I'm not doing it again. Stop it.
Okay. Yeah, I think Lincoln by now.
Even though I'm saying we should carry on playing the way we are. Yeah, we've failed, but it'll get better. Yeah, I'm not being positive no more. I'm going back to long ball miserableness.
Fair enough. Ryan Thompson says we don't have a press because we aren't coached well. We don't know how to react 1-0 down because there's no plan to implement because they're not being coached. It's blatant to see. Chris Taylor says if we play like we did against Mansfield, it could end up being a bad day. If we play like we did against second half, it will be. Yeah, second half. Definitely up until the first goal, up to the only goal. I completely agree. Right, before we go into predictions, do we want to have a quick chat on the Evans chat, or is that now is it now past? Now we've lost.
There's no to say. It's there. People watched it, and hopefully there'll be more, or maybe not. Maybe who knows? There might not be any more if we lose to Wigan and then lose to Lincoln. There might not be any more. We'll see.
Yeah. Or Evans realises there is actually a curse, and we're never getting to be ever again.
Yeah, that's another option. Yeah, it doesn't seem a particularly superstitious bloke to me, to be honest. But there you go.
Yeah, the next one's booked in for the day after the final game of the season.
Well, that didn't work for Matt Taylor because we got spanked at Stoke after that.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. Ryan Thompson wants to mention, has the support yesterday been mentioned so far? 1,500 made the trip. He says didn't make a noise until went behind, booed and berated. Where was the support? Yeah, and we're not ones to criticise fans. What I would say is I was surprised. I don't think that performance was boo-worthy in isolation. If we play well all season, that came in. I don't think that would have been the case. But the fans are waiting for the players to give us something on a more consistent basis. Is the way I'm reading it and the way I'm experiencing it as well.
It's not great. I mean, it's not great. It's not a great position to be in as a player, and it's not a great position to be in as a fan. And sooner or later, one of them has got to one side or the other has got to pull the socks up, kind of thing. And it has to be the players ultimately, because it's not our job of work, is it? It's our release of a weekend, and if you're releasing all that stress and anger or whatever it is that builds up through the week, through joy of winning a game or through frustration and anger of venting it at somebody, you're still releasing it, aren't you? So I get what Ryan's saying there. It's not great, but also it's difficult to criticise the fans as well.
Yeah,
we all feel pretty much the same.
Yeah. Mike the Mill says the fans have had the enthusiasm sucked out of them. Scott Kent says, I think the boos were aimed at Evans. I honestly think the fans are fed up with him. Well, you think it's bad at Rotherham? There's a guy who sits 2 rows behind him with boos at half time unless we're winning 2-0. Yeah. When people were happy when we got promoted about the promotion season.
Yeah.
Wow, those were the days. Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, look. It's football. And it's not like we've had a really good year and fans are going, oh, this is not as good as it used to be. We've had just pure crap thrown at us. Even ignoring last season, we do need to stop talking last season, but even ignoring last season, this season, it's just been bad. And I think the fans need something back. And we got a little bit of back against Northampton, but we need something to build on. You know how many times under Evans' first time did we go into a game thinking, all right, we're 1-0 down. It doesn't really matter because I trust this team to come back. And that helps the team. That helps the fans get behind the teams because they know the players are not going to stop, which means the fans are not going to stop.
Yeah,
there's nothing of that. There's no expectation from the fans. The expectation right now from all of us is, let's hope something goes well. There's no expectation at all at the minute. Is what it is. Sean Raggett's out injured for the Christmas period. He had keel surgery. Evans maybe suggested there might be a chance for Lincoln. But I'm not a surgeon. I don't know. So you're probably expecting the Bolton game, I would guess, maybe for that. So that's a big blow. And what for me is a bigger blow is Chris Teehee out for the next 9 to 10 days because he's been excellent over the last couple of weeks. And I think we missed it. Liam Kelly's not the player I thought he was going to be yet. Whereas Chris Teehee in the last few weeks has been the player I thought Liam Kelly was going to be. So I think Teehee being out for the next 9 to 10 days with what sounds like concussion, it seems, is a massive, massive blow for this period. 2 players who were important in this little run we've had are now gone. So I wonder if that's got a part to play.
Yeah.
Sapper Song's gone. He's going back to Nottingham Forest. That's a shame, but understandable. He's been injured. I think injuries haven't helped him, but we said when he came in that Evans is not the kind of manager who's very good at bringing youth players through, really, really young players through, and it's kind of played out that way. Shame that. Anything on that? Anything on those 3 bits of information?
No.
Same old with injuries. It's getting old now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Right, let us do the prediction league because there was movement not after the Mansfield game because everybody predicted wins. But from the last game against Northampton, Kev picked up the 3 points for that one. Danny, Joy, Tom, and Mick all picked up single points to move. It's just closer. Ben's struggling. Ben's really, really struggling. Bless him. But yes. Anyway, so predictions we have in so far of Joy. Joy's gone 3-2 goals. Which could be a fun Boxing Day. Ben has gone for a win, same as Tommy's gone 2-0, and Kev has gone 3-0, obviously. Danny, you are obviously lower down in the table. Talk to me. What's your prediction?
Well, part of me hopes that we take the poor showing at Mansfield and try and improve upon it. It might be a bit more improved because it is at home. But with key players out and Tahi not being available, I don't think it's going to be a win. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1. Interesting. Because as we found out earlier, if we score, then we're not going to lose, is what we're saying, isn't it? So
if we score first, we don't lose.
No, if we score at all the defeats have been to 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Any goal means we're going to not lose. Sorry. So if we get a good early goal, we're going to do something and pick up some points. Mick, what's your prediction?
2-1 Rotherham.
2-1.
I said I wasn't going to be positive, and there it is. Clearly, my personality's coming out.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. As you. All right, I'm not. All right.
No, the two ones come from that Carlsberg you're drinking, mate.
Yeah.
Fishman Sid thinks it's going to be a 3-2. YouTube says 2-1 to us on a wing and a prayer. Richard says 0-0. Chris says 2-1 to us, as does Scott Kent. Paul Rhodes going for a really, really boring 0-0. Chris Taylor says 1-1, lots of booing. Nick Hammock says 2-1 to the Millers. Martin Holland says it's going to be a Desmond. Harry thinks it's going to be 2-0 to Wigan, but in an attempted positive, he's going to go for 2-1. 1 to Wigan. Ryan Thompson says 1-0 to the Millers. Chris Page says 0-1. And Noel Jordan says 0-2. The first 2 games of this Christmas period are 2 games we ideally would have been targeting. Mansfield would have the bottom of the form table. Wigan are a point above us, having only just drawn to Shrewsbury. We know how bad Shrewsbury are. Then you've got Stockport, of brilliant overall, or very, very good. And Lincoln, who will be desperate for some revenge, no doubt, from a few weeks ago. So could be a tough Christmas, this, but let's wait and see.
We were all positive on Thursday.
I know, and it's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
different again. Soon.
What?
Be different again on Boxing Day. Possibly.
Yeah, I think it's an important game because we need to see that we're not just going backwards. The show title's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That is still a step forward, and that's what we need to make sure that it is still that 1 step forward.
Absolutely.
Because if we go backwards on Boxing Day to thing, well, it's already a long hard season. It's already going to be a long hard season, but let's hope it's not that long hard. Right, so there will be one more episode pre-Christmas, which actually is a scouting report, which will be up tomorrow morning, which is nicely from Barry from Progress with Unity, who is lovely, Barry. I do enjoy speaking to him, so do check that out. We hope you all have an amazing Christmas, if you celebrate, which I know lots of people do. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely Christmas. Be merry, drink, eat, whatever you need to do to have a good time. Hope Santa brings you everything you want, including those 3 points on Boxing Day. We all love it. We all love a late present, don't we? Late presents are the best. So yeah, thank you all for being with us this week. The next episode will be day late. We'll do Friday instead of Thursday because we play Thursday, so it'll be a day late. It'll be Friday this week. But you'll keep an eye on the socials and you'll see the instant reaction on Thursday. Mick, Danny, anything you'd like to add? Any festive positivity, festive cheer you'd like to spread out into the world? Or should we go watch darts?
Ho, ho, ho.
Darts.
Okay.
Merry
Darts.
Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody who watches the podcast and has stuck through the ups and downs of Rotherham United however many years you've done it. So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes. We've nearly got through a full year of watching Rotherham United. Nearly. So well done to everybody. You all deserve a badge and a medal for that. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you have subscribed. If you haven't done so already, make sure you give the video a thumbs up and a like. If you haven't done so already, if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, make sure you've given us a 5-star rating and comment where it allows you to do so, and subscribe or follow whatever the case may be on your particular podcast provider. Like I say, we'll see you all next time. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you all next time. Merry Christmas, and as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good heavens, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in